Hey everyone, this is Rachel. Thanks for clicking on my video. And y'all, I came in today to talk about healthcare, more specifically the ACA, also known as Obamacare. Now, the reason why I wanted to talk about this today is because I've been watching the news and I've been seeing this new Supreme Court justice that they're trying to get confirmed, being basically cross-examined by the senators. And, the different things that they're talking about, like Roe versus Wade, Obamacare, and all of that. And I got to wondering, do people realize exactly the impact that Obamacare has on their medical benefits? So let me give y'all a little background. So as I've told y'all before, I work in healthcare. I work at a health insurance company. In the past, I've worked for several of the big insurers like Aetna, Blue Cross Blue Shield, Medicare, and Medicaid. And I've been doing this going on 12 years. So I've held all kind of different roles. Like when I very first started out in healthcare, excuse me, I worked in provider services, meaning that I only worked with doctors, hospitals, facilities, and places like that. Then the next job that I had, I worked with member services, where I only spoke with members, helping them understand their benefits and, finding them providers and all of that stuff. Then after I had did that for a few years, learned the background of healthcare, then I got a position where I worked as like a care coordinator. And basically what you do is you bring all of that past experience you have and you become like an advocate for the member, like members that have cancer and just say they're having problems with their claims, or they need help getting their prescriptions or making doctor's appointments. Basically, you do everything for them so they can focus on becoming better. Just focus on their health and you're taking the stress out of it. Basically, these people will call us. They would tell us what their problem is. We would get all the details and basically tell them, don't worry about it. We got it. We'll handle it. We would just call them back after we got everything done. Then I moved from that to where, I had all that background. So then I wanted to work in appeals and grievances where members have problems or, services aren't being approved. And all that kind of stuff. So I kind of like the behind the scenes. And that's kind of currently what I'm doing now. Now, in my journey in this healthcare thing, I have worked before the ACA was passed. I have worked in health insurance companies before Obamacare was actually passed. And I worked after it was passed. Okay. So I know what health insurance companies, how they operate, and how they operated before the Obamacare was passed. Let me give y'all a little story first. I was working for Blue Cross Blue Shield years ago, and it was around the time that my son was in his late teens, early 20s. He had become very, very participating in protesting and pretty much like canvassing for different political people that he liked, and he would go door to door registering voters. So he was very active in that kind of stuff. So he got wind that Blue Cross Blue Shield was like denying claims, and they were, just one of the big, insurance companies that he felt wasn't doing what they were supposed to do as far as their members. So one day Blue Cross had told us that there were going to be some picketers, some protesters outside of the building, and they were giving us direction on when we come in for work that morning. There's going to be the media out there, protesters, and they wanted us just to pull in, do not speak to them at all, do not answer any questions from the media, and blah blah blah. So I went home and, I didn't even mention it to my kids. And I remember me and my son and my daughter, we were eating. And my son was like, Ma, I'm going to be protesting next week. And I was like, oh, okay, because I was happy that he was taking part in, and was interested. And, he believed in something to the point where it made him want to get up and go protest. But y'all, here's the thing. When I asked him, okay, Scott, where are you protesting? What is it about? He was like, well, yeah, it's your job. And I was like, what? He said, yeah, we're going to be out there protesting Blue Cross because, Mom, they not right. They do this, they do that, they do this. And I'm sitting there like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I said, boy, do you realize that those are the people, because of them, I'm able to keep a roof over your head, food in your stomach, and clothes on your back? Basically, y'all, in a roundabout, respectful way, he told me, I don't care. They're not right. Now, remember, this is prior to Obamacare. And I'm going to be out there next, whatever, protesting. So I just wanted to warn you. So because my job had told us that not only was it going to be protesters out there, but the media was going to be out there too. So I told my son, I was like, look, I'm not playing with you, boy. I said, if you, one of those reporters try to interview you, you better not say your mother work here. Because if you do, not only are you not going to have health care, but you won't be living with me if you get me fired. I'm telling him, have you lost your mind? But he actually was out there literally protesting. They had coffins and everything, y'all. Now, let me tell you why. On the one hand, I was upset with him because he knew I worked there. And if he had interviewed and said, yeah, my mom is this is her name, and she works in this department, blah, 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 it could have got me fired. But on the other hand, I was proud of him because let me tell y'all, when I first started working in the healthcare field, I always had health insurance through my employer because I've always worked. But you know how you have health insurance and you really don't need it, use it until you need it. Like you may go get your teeth cleaned, get glasses if you need it, or, get your flu shot, or, just normal everyday routine stuff. But I was young and I really didn't pay attention to how claims work and how payments work, and that before Obamacare there were like yearly maximums and lifetime maximums and pre-existing condition. I didn't understand all that. The reason why is because I didn't have all of those. My kids didn't have asthma. I didn't have, diabetes or hypertension and all that. We were a young family that were just using our benefits for routine stuff. But as I started working at Blue Cross and I started working with providers, because remember I told y'all I started in provider services, and understanding how doctors and hospitals submit their claims, exactly what they get paid as opposed to what they actually bill, and understanding how insurance companies deny certain things and why they deny certain things, I completely supported my son. Because before Obamacare, if you had a pre-existing condition, this is what would happen when you got insurance. Say you started with an employer and you started January 1st, okay? And just say you had diabetes. You were diabetic and you had diabetes for a while. So that's considered a pre-existing condition. So what they would do is either refuse to cover any services related to that pre-existing condition, or if they did cover it, they would make you pay more, maybe in premiums, what was taken out of your paycheck every week, as opposed to someone who didn't have a pre-existing condition. Another thing I noticed, and I will never forget this one, y'all. I was looking at a claim, 2 claims. There were these 2 babies born. They were twins. One of the babies was born healthy, low weight because, they were born, they were preemie. They were like almost 2 months early. So one of them was pretty healthy. Stayed in the hospital a little bit and then eventually went home. The other one was really sick. So I had this hospital call in and their claims were not being paid. What they told me is that a lot of their claims that they had submitted had been paid, and then all of a sudden, the claim stopped paying. But the baby was still in the hospital, still racking up bills. A couple months later, this baby was preemie, and lungs weren't developed, and this wasn't developed, and so the baby had to stay in the NICU for a few months. So as I started to dig into the claims, I confirmed what they said. They were submitting claims, just bopping along, and then all of a sudden, the claims hit a brick wall. So being new to healthcare, I had verified everything. The baby was right. This is the mother. The insurance was valid, blah, blah, blah. So I didn't understand why the claims weren't paying. So what I did is I went to my supervisor and I, broke it all down and, asked her, the provider has submitted everything correctly. The mother's insurance is paid up. Why aren't we paying their claims? So this is what they told me. They said that even though the baby was only like 2 months to 3 months old, due to the amount of that baby's claims, the baby had hit a lifetime max, meaning that the baby has some claims that were $1 million, some claims that were $500,000 and $600,000 and $50,000 for this and $25,000 for that, blah blah blah. So basically, the baby had maxed out, meaning that, just say that the lifetime max, and I'm just making it up a number, y'all, is $4 million over a lifetime that an insurance company would pay for a single member. The baby had hit that, so they weren't paying any more of the baby's claims ever. They didn't give a fuck what happened to the baby. They just knew they wasn't paying it. So I stood there and I was like, so what do I do? And they said, well, you go back and tell the provider that Blue Cross is not paying any more of their claims, that the baby has maxed out, blah, blah, blah. So after I went back and told the provider understood it because she had been doing this for a while. She worked in the billing department at a hospital, and she just, noted insurance company says baby has maxed out. But in my head, I wasn't done with it because I was sitting there thinking, so if we're not paying their claims and the baby still needs care, is the hospital going to stop taking care of the baby because they're not getting paid? How does this work? So I went back up to my supervisor and I asked her, I said, explain to me what happens now when they reach the max. And she said what the parent can do is to apply for Medicaid because, first of all, the baby has a pre-existing condition. So it's not like the baby, just say the father had medical insurance on his job. Because the baby was sick already, if the baby went to the father's insurance, the baby has a pre-existing condition because the baby is sick. So the father's insurance will probably make their premiums higher or make them pay more or refuse to cover the baby because they knew coming in that the baby was sick. So what my supervisor explained is the parent's next step was state Medicaid to get the baby on Medicaid. And I just remember sitting there thinking, because along with that information that my boss gave me, she also told me that because the family had a family plan, and this was a young couple that they didn't have any kids. Those twins were their first kids. So they were going to continue to have to pay the amount that came out of their paycheck for their health care, but the health care wasn't covering, their family plan health care wasn't covering one of their kids. They had to get that baby on Medicaid. And I remember walking away thinking, damn, they don't care. So my supervisor had me gather all of the claims that we had stopped paying on, and she wanted a spreadsheet with all of those, and to turn over to some other department to let them confirm that we weren't paying any more of these babies' claims. And I was just done. I was sitting there and I was thinking, we have this money taken out of our paychecks every 2 weeks, and you mean to tell me that this young couple probably never really took advantage of their medical benefits until they had those babies? So they had been paying all those years, and then finally, when they finally had a baby, one of the babies, the insurance company did pay, but up to a certain point, and they were going to continue to have to pay their, what comes out their check. Then, after I left Blue Cross, I went to Medicaid and Medicare. And that's when, shortly after I got there, Obamacare passed. Now, the first way that it impacted me personally is because my son was 24 years old. Now, I remember that he had done 2 years of college. So as long as he was in college, I was able to cover him. He went to he got an associate's degree. So I'll say around 21, my son had to come off of my benefits because he was no longer in school. And you know how, as long as, this is before Obamacare, as long as they could prove they were in school, you can carry them on your benefits. So right after Obamacare passed, I understood one part right off, that they will cover your child up to age 26. And what I did is I got all my son's information, and like I said, he was about 24 years old, and I put him back on my medical, because here's why. He had a job, but his benefits on his job were not as good as the benefits that I had on my job. And I wanted him to have full coverage, everything. And because I was paying for a family plan anyway, it wasn't costing me anything more to add him on to my benefits, because with just me and my daughter, they considered that a family plan for 2 people. It wasn't like employee plus 1. It was a family plan because I had my daughter on there. So I just threw my son on, and it didn't cost me any extra because I had a family plan. Then, y'all, as I was sitting there, people were calling in about the ACA. Like, we would have callers call in and ask, okay, so now they cover birth control? We don't have to pay? It's free? And I was like, yes. Now they cover breast pumps? We don't have to pay? It's free? Now they cover routine colonoscopies? And we were having all these people call in, starting to ask us this. And they, when I worked for commercial insurance, because after I left there, I went back to, commercial insurance, not Medicaid and Medicare. So a lot of people that were calling in thought that their employer was the reason why birth control and, Pap tests and colonoscopies and what else, breast exams and all of that was being covered at no charge. Because if you get a routine, Pap test, it's no charge because it's part of your yearly checkup. If you get a routine breast exam, as long as you don't have a problem and it's routine, that's covered at 100%. All of those. So what I started telling people, I was like, you're getting this not because of your employer, it's because the things that are included in the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare, mandates that your employer offer this benefit and they pay it at 100%. It mandates that they must offer women's reproductive benefits. As long as it's routine, you're just getting your routine birth control or whatever way you have birth control. So in the beginning, people were saying, well, I don't have that Obamacare. I have ACA. I'm getting my coverage through the ACA. And so I used to be sitting there thinking, do they really not understand that Obamacare is the ACA. You know, like the Republicans nicknamed it Obamacare, but it's all one and the same. And then we started getting into where the Republicans were threatening to take it away. Now, let me tell y'all what happened. My mother watches a lot of news, and she knew that I worked in healthcare, and we would be talking, and my mother would say, yeah, they hate that. It's sad that Obama worked so hard on Obamacare, and these half of America hates it. So I was telling my mother from the moment that it started, I said, don't believe that propaganda that you see on television, because I work in a health insurance company and I'm talking to people all across the country. And once they realize that they're able to get, certain things because of the passing of Obamacare, they're changing their tune. I'll give you another example. I had a woman that had breast cancer, and she had had a double mastectomy. So she had to have these special bras to, make it look like she had breasts. So something had happened, and she no longer had her bras. Now, I'll just say that her company, her benefits allowed her to get, I'll just say 6 free a year. When I looked at the price of each individual bra, the bras were over $300 because they had a prosthetic in it and they were specially made. So with her benefits, because of the changes in women's health care, she was getting those bras for free, 6 a year. But what happened is something happened with her bras and she needed some more, and the year wasn't up, and she would have had to wait the next year to get more bras. So what I told her is, now this is when I was working as an advocate for members. I said, okay, your benefits, you've gotten all the bras that you can get for this year that are covered under your benefits. But I have other resources. I know that I can call the American Cancer Society and they can help you. So what I did is I basically told her, let me do some groundwork for you, see what I can find. I'm not going to promise that I can get them free, but we're going to get them at as low a cost to you as we can. So what I did is I called the American Cancer Society. I told them what was going on with her, and they were able to help her. They were able to get her some bras with the prosthetic in it for $35. And it was better than her paying, $200, almost $300. So I guess the point that I'm trying to make is, when these Republicans are talking about healthcare and Obamacare specifically, they are not listening to the people. Because like I said, I've been listening to these people for 11 years when it comes to, well, I'm going to say since 2014. Because I believe Obamacare was passed in 2014. So for the last, it's been longer than that. It's been longer than that. Maybe since 2012, I think is when it was passed. 2012, 2013. So I've been listening to people that actually are understanding that I'm only getting this service because Obamacare put all this into that package. And, employers must cover this. Insurance companies must pay for that. They cannot deny people because they have a pre-existing condition. They cannot have all those max and caps that they had that made them able to not pay on people's claims. Okay? So I'm watching the news today and I'm sitting here thinking, if this woman gets in, she's against Obamacare. She's also against, like, Roe versus Wade. They want to reverse that. Now, let me just tell y'all this. You can have your personal choice on whether you believe that abortions should be legal. But I look at it this way. My body, my ovaries, my God. I do not want someone to tell me, because we don't tell men what they can and cannot do with their bodies. I do not want someone to be in a position to tell me what I can and cannot do with the body that God gave me. If what I'm doing is a sin, when I stand before God, if I have an abortion, I'm going to have to stand before God and answer for it, nobody else. So that's why I believe in Roe versus Wade. I believe the woman should have the right to choose. That's what I believe. So when I was thinking about it, I said, so wait a minute. They want to get rid of the ACA, where women are able to get free birth control because of the ACA. The only way you're not getting it free is if, like, that your employer is related to some type of religious organization. Like, I know it's a lot of these hospitals that are, I'll just say, like St. Christopher's, St. this, they opt out because they're a religious hospital. So if they're employees, they don't have to cover it based on religious reasons. But for the most of employers, they do cover birth control. So I was thinking, I was like, okay, so if they get rid of the ACA, now they're not saying they're getting rid of birth control. What it is through the ACA, because of the ACA, women are getting their birth control for free because it's a part of the total woman's health. Then they want to reverse Roe versus Wade. So we're not going to have birth control. And I'm going to say y'all, because see, I'm past birthing years. I'm post-menopausal. So ain't no babies coming from here. So I don't have to take birth control. But I remember when I was younger, and I did. So they don't want you to have birth control for free. And they also want to get rid of abortions. It's going to be a mess, y'all. So the reason why I wanted to do this video, I wanted to say, think about the way it was before Obamacare. Don't listen to what those Republicans and those naysayers are saying. Take it from somebody who's actually working every day, speaking to people who are benefiting from the passing of Obamacare. People who are surprised that certain things are covered, or that an employer cannot deny, someone, or insurance company cannot deny someone coverage because they have a pre-existing condition. They are pretty much, they talking shit, y'all. And when my mother had come to me, I said, trust me. Now that's my mother. She thought she knew better than me. Well, I've been watching it on television, and they say half of America don't like this damn Obamacare. But then what happened is, when John McCain was running with Sarah Palin, you remember that, against Barack Obama the second time, and they were threatening to take away or undo Obamacare. And then all of them people start coming out the woodworks, showing up at town halls, telling their whole life story, and how the passing of the Obamacare changed their life. Their mother is alive because of Obamacare. Their dad is alive. Oh, I got my treatment because of Obamacare. Because when people realize that it wasn't their employer benefits that was allowing them to have all this coverage, that they only were getting it because Obama changed the way things were done. That insurance companies used to run roughshod over people, and they still do to a certain extent. But because I understand this. I had a claim yesterday that I was helping a hospital work on. This doctor reported billing of $1,365,257.13. That's what he billed on his claim. When I looked at what he did, what services that he provided that person, he provided a lot. He only got paid, I believe it was like $110,000, or that facility only got paid $110,000. This person was in the hospital for, it was almost 2 months, and the bill for those 2 months was $1 million something. But because even though they bill $1 million, that's not what they're going to get paid. They're going to get paid what they contract with that insurance companies. So just say that that person was in there because they had cancer and they were receiving treatment, and the treatment that the insurance company, the payment that they make on that type of treatment is only $110,000. The provider is happy, meaning the hospital was happy. Like, after I read off how much they got paid, the lady was like, okay, the claim is $1,347,000, blah, blah, blah. And there's one line that I have a question about. So I pulled the claim up and I was looking at it and I said, oh Lord, when I told this lady they only paid her $100 and something thousand, they're going to be tripping and I'm going to have to be arguing with her. So I said, well, before I get started on, trying to get this other procedure paid, I just wanted to go over the payment and make sure that you received your check and blah, blah, blah. So I told her, I was like, okay, so we paid you this. And she was like, okay, well, thank you. Well, yes, that's right, because we do get paid that amount for this. And I was sitting there like, jeez, this doctor been treating this person for almost 2 months, and they did build all this money, but I guess they're happy because that's their negotiated rate. And the moral of that story that I just told you is, just because a doctor bills all of that doesn't mean that that's what they're going to get paid. I know that healthcare in America is higher, more expensive than any other country, because we're a capitalist society, let's just face it. And I know that prescription drugs are expensive and all of that. I understand all of that. But if you guys would see exactly what these doctors are billing, or these hospitals are billing, and what they're getting paid, because it's two different things. And it took me a long time to understand billed amount and allowed amount. If you ever get what they call an EOB from your health insurance company, and what an EOB is an explanation of benefits. Just say you went in and you had a procedure done. You always get this thing in the mail. And the first thing you say is, you look at the bottom, you're like, wait a minute, is this a damn bill? Is this how much I gotta pay? But then as you read it, you realize, oh no, okay, this is what my insurance paid. And they're just sending me a statement showing me my services and what the insurance paid and what is left for me. But if you look at that explanation of benefits, there is a column that says billed amount and then allowed amount. Say you were getting a colonoscopy. In a colonoscopy, I'm just going to make up a price. It's $5,000 to do a colonoscopy. The provider, the person who did it, may only get paid $300, because that's the rate that they negotiated with that insurance company. Now, you might ask yourself, why would they do that? Here's why. Because with an uninsured person, they're going to get zero. So just say you need an emergency procedure and you go in and you don't have insurance, or you're a self-pay, they got to take a chance on you. But they know that if they do 10, just say Blue Cross members, and all of them had colonoscopies, and all those colonoscopies was $5,000, and all of them they're only going to get, let's say, $500. They know that's solid money. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. They're going to get $500 per member. So they agree to that. They say, well, this is a sure thing. And that's why they agree to accept insurance, because they know with insurance they're going to get paid. As long as they bill what we call a clean claim, the member is active, they're they're not billing anything that's not covered under the member's benefits, they're going to get paid. But with someone who doesn't have insurance, it's an iffy thing. So that's why they agreed to take a lesser amount, because it's a sure thing. And it took me a long time to understand that when I first started doing that, because I was sitting there thinking like any other service. Just say you're a hairdresser or a stylist, a hairstylist, and you see, you do somebody's hair, and you have a list on the wall of what you charge. It's not a suggested price. When you get done, you want your money. You don't want to have up on the wall, I charge $50 for this, and when the person get finished, they giving you $3 and walking out the door. So I just thought that that's how it was in the medical field, and it's not. There's a billed amount, meaning that the provider actually has to state on their bill, on their claim, everything that they did. If you got a Tylenol in there, or they put all that on there, so it totals up. But that doesn't mean that's what they're going to get paid, because even the Tylenol has a billed amount and an allowed amount. So just say you had a whole bottle of Tylenol in the hospital, they're going to jack up the price. It was $20. The insurance company might say, well, we pay 5 cents for that bottle of Tylenol. Y'all, I've seen providers, hospitals calling and arguing about $3, to the point where sometimes I'm on the phone like, look, they ain't giving you the $3, but to shut your fucking mouth, I will cash app you the $3 so you can get the hell up off my phone arguing for 2-3 hours, y'all. It is ridiculous. So I'm gonna get out of here, but I want to just tell y'all, when you think of Obamacare, everything can be improved upon. There's always room for a little improvement. But I remember what it was like before Obamacare, and then now after. Even in my personal life, as I got older and the need to use my own benefits became, I'm older now, like especially after I turned 50, all the way up to 50, I was bopping along, y'all. I ain't had no problems. I got up, ate what I wanted, did what I wanted, and nothing ever happened. It seemed like as soon as I hit 50, little stuff start creeping in, and you're like, oh, what's wrong with this? So then I started to understand what it meant to have to see a specialist. And before that, I was just going to my primary care doctor, getting my little yearly checkup, my flu shot, or, going in when I was younger to get my little birth control and all that kind of stuff, taking my kids to their yearly checkups and, different things like that. But I never got into having to see specialists and, oh, you must have a referral on file. I didn't know nothing about none of that. But once Obamacare came, it came right as I was getting older, and the need to utilize my benefits more became important in my life. So in working at the health insurance company, it not only helped me personally, it really helps my mother. Because my mother is now at that age where, they have Medicare primary, and then they, some of them, they have like a dual plan where they might have Medicare primary and Medicaid primary. My mother was starting to ask me questions. Well, I'm covered by Medicare, but now I have this spend down, and what does that mean? Is it because I have this money? Do I need to hide my money? Will that affect this? Will it affect that? All of this is teaching me how to navigate my own personal health benefits. And when I see these Republicans trying to get rid of healthcare in the middle of a pandemic, when if they get rid of it and you had COVID during this pandemic, COVID is now a pre-existing condition if they get rid of the ACA. So any treatment that you might need in the future because you had it, they can elect, insurance companies can elect not to pay it or charge you higher premiums because now you got a pre-existing condition. So when y'all paying attention to this and you voting, think about all that. Think about, they trying to take us back. And basically it's like all of y'all said, they're trying to get rid of anything that has Obama's name on it. And honestly, this healthcare thing, was one of the good things that he left behind. It's one of the good things that he put a lot into. Is it perfect? No. Everything can be, expanded on, but at least it gives us a start. Hell, other countries, other places in the world, their people are getting their medical for free. Think about how, like, I remember one time my doctor had written me some prescriptions, and I remember this is when I had chosen that plan where you have the big deductible because you don't want them taking all that money out your check every week. So I was like, look, me and my daughter are pretty healthy. I'm going to get this little cheap plan. And, if I get sick, then I worry about it then. Well, you know what happens. I had to get this prescription. Y'all, I went to the pharmacy, one prescription, like when they rang my shit up, they said, that'll be $389. I was like, what? Oh, hell no. I said, hold on. Run back what each one of these costs. Like they were holding up the bottle. Well, this one was $4, that was $8, and this one was $7, and that one was $279. I said, you know what? I don't need that. Deduct that off. Because whatever that is for $300, I'll be dead before I'll be paying all that. Y'all, it was so funny because they were like, what you want to, yes, take it off my bill. Let's get it back down. The one medication, I actually think the medication was $320 something. I said, well, what portion did my insurance not cover that? They was like, yeah, they covered it, but this is your portion after they covered it. I was like, what the fuck? What it was is the price of that drug was real expensive. And just say that they paid, just say the medication was normally $900. So if they paid $600, I guess they was like, well, you could pay the last $300. I said, which I'm glad now that I did not take that medication, because it is one of these medications that now they're saying on television, have you ever been prescribed blah, 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 blah. Literally, y'all, a couple months after I did not get that medication, I saw a commercial about it on television. And I was like, oh, Lord, thank you, God. My cheap ass just prevented me being part of one of them major things where they're recalling the drug and, you part of a class action lawsuit because you took the shit. I'm glad I didn't. But y'all, I'm going to get out of here. I just want to tell y'all that pay attention. Don't let these Republicans take away Obamacare. Don't let people talk negative about it, because trust me when I say, and I can't go into all the stuff that I know about Obamacare and why it's good because I can't actually think of it right now. But I wish I could, while I'm at work, working for one of these big insurers, I could let you listen to some of the calls I get, but due to HIPAA, y'all know I can't do that. But it would be so nice if y'all could hear the conversation that we as health insurance workers have with doctors, that we have with hospitals, that we have with members, and how we're helping them, and how the Obamacare, to see it in action. See, when you watch it on television, it's just a word, it's something Obama left, a legacy. But we live it out every day. Obamacare rules my life because it's in my work, and it's also because I'm older now. Y'all, I'm halfway to 60, so pretty much I'm gonna be needing it even more, y'all, because like a house, as you age, shit start to break down. So I'm gonna be needing it. So I don't want them to get rid of it, I really don't. I just want them to make it better. And I really do not want them to overturn Roe versus Wade, because that's gonna be dangerous, y'all. Talk to your parents about what it was like for women before Roe versus Wade. My mother, I've talked to her. I've talked to my grandmother. That's why years ago people had big families. Yeah, hell, y'all, my grandmother had 12 kids. She wasn't even 5 feet tall. But because they didn't have birth control and she was Catholic and they didn't believe in abortion. Well, y'all, let me go. Y'all hear the ice cream truck is riding through my neighborhood. So, but yeah, y'all, I'm about to get out of here. Thanks for watching my video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye bye now.